All right, well, now on to the Cowboys after finishing second in 2022. They dropped to 11th last year. James, what went wrong last year that I guess Coach Toddy Payton can sort of improve and move into this year? They had a lot of injuries, a few players sort of bordering on retirement.
Yeah, look, I think last year the observations of the Cowboys is I think they paid the price for success.
Yeah.
So teams took them more seriously, and then also a heavy representation in the international scene. They'll be better for that run. Some of those some very young players, especially in the edge back row, that had amazing season 2022s, but then perhaps didn't quite know how to manage that representative season. So I think we'll see a much improved Cowboys from what we saw last year. The signs were there. They put on some magnificent performances, but consistency was the big issue for the Cowboys, in my opinion. And yeah, looking at their schedule, it's probably going to be, you're probably going to hear this for every team. The importance of starting well.
Yeah.
It cannot be understated. It is so important. You want to look at the first 4 games, and if, you know, like Paulie says, if you can get 3 from 4, those teams that have been in and around like the middle 8 or the bottom, not in the top 4 from last season, that those other teams, they need to be looking at a 3 from 4 start.
Well, that's going to be a tough run for them. I think only 2 home games in their first 7 are going to be at home, which gives them a pretty rough time on the road, but they finish with 8 from 12. I think 6 from 8 at home. So
6 from 8 at home is massive, and you know, their performance staff will know that, so they can look to start really fast and then taper off as the season goes down, and then really use that home ground advantage, especially later in the season when, you know, the heat starts to turn up a little bit. They should be certainly look to use that to their advantage. Any team that can see something like that, no need to travel. Guys, look, we're going to work really hard in this opening period, super fit, you know, maintain that, and we can look to taper off and take advantage of that.
Paul, you've got some good stats on the Cowboys as well too. How does that come into play with their...
Yeah, Garth, you and James have both mentioned it. Starting fast. So both the last 2 years, the Cowboys have probably not started quite as well as they would have liked. 2022, they actually didn't come to Sydney for the first 11 weeks. So they got to play a couple of games in Darwin and Canberra and the rest in Queensland. Now, in 2023, they did have to come down to Sydney a bit more. They changed from winning 17 games out of 24 in Queensland to 14, and then they had the extra away losses as well. So can they get that back on track? They only finished 1 win out of the 8 when it was all said and done. So that 6 out of 8 at the end might be enough just to get them over the line. They do have 16 of their 24 games in Queensland this year, which helps them.
That's going to help. The Queenslanders do love playing in Queensland.